Hey guys, it's Clay from Clear Critique. With Father's Day here, I wanted to quickly give some recommendations for flicks ideal for fathers and their kids. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get right to it. Make your dad a drink, crash on the couch, and have a nice bonding moment. Here are 10 movies to watch with your dad. For starters, it was difficult whittling this list down to 10. It easily could have been 50. So I decided to balance it by including films people may not have seen, along with classics I simply can't ignore. Anyway, number 10 is a western, and choosing just one was tricky, but I had to go with the 2007 remake of 3:10 to Yuma. This is one of the most action-packed westerns out there, opening with a thrilling chase sequence and ending with an enormous hellfire of six-shooters. The themes of fathers and role models run throughout as Christian Bale plays a man so down on his luck that he takes up a dangerous mission just to support the family. Everyone either pities or bullies him, and the film excels at showcasing that weary, beaten-down father who would do anything to impress his sons. I'm making this sound like a depressing drama, but boy is it not. Like I said, there's lots of action, but the characters are a blast as well. Russell Crowe is perfect as the slick, charismatic robber. Ben Foster steals every scene as the savage and fiercely loyal number 2 man, like a shaggy, snarling dog Crowe's character has on a leash. The score is also great. Tough guy lines and tough guys, as well as an engaging story, more than justify 3:10 as a must-see movie with your dad. I wanted to include a comedy on the list and can't think of many better for dads than the hilarious In the Loop. The most striking aspect of the comedy here, as well as the original series from which this is adapted, is how brutal the dialogue is. Characters don't just insult each other, they tear each other down and stomp on the remains. Malcolm Tucker arrives into every scene like a tornado and thrashes everyone in his wake. The film benefits much from its honesty. We are never supposed to sympathize with these clumsy, self-serving people, and that gives the story so much freedom to play. The pacing is rapid fire, the jokes are almost ceaseless, and the plot is able to poke fun at and illuminate the many problems in modern politics, like the minister who crumbles under the spotlight, or the endless conferences that do nothing but make people look busy. There are so many funny people in this film, such as the guy whose sole purpose is to antagonize this other person, and it's funny every time.
So, you're in hot water, you're lobsterizing. You smell lobster? Because I smell lobster. Strong bisque.
And just when you think Tucker's insults are about to run dry, another angry Scotsman barrels in, and he's even meaner and provides some of the best moments. If you've ever seen your dad vent about politics, In the Loop may as well hand him a beer and say, "Dude, I totally understand."
Right, I'm off to deal with the fate of the planet. Be gentle with them.
Oh, you know me, Mark. Kid gloves, but made from real kids.
Next is the Bourne Identity. I rewatched this film recently and now believe it to be somewhat underrated. Yes, it's a famous film. Yes, it spawned a good trilogy that turned into a septic fivesome, but I don't think it retained the cult status it deserves. Because Bourne Identity is so fresh, brazenly so, to the American action film genre, with concepts that producers at the time balked at. The action, while exciting, is small scale. No giant explosions or epic showdowns. The car chase feels real. Much of the fighting comprises of 2 people, and there's a general focus on the quiet and quick rather than the bombastic and drawn out. I plan to do a video solely about this film and how it emulates 90s Euro action flicks, so in the meantime I'll just say it's a smart, trimmed down spy thriller that relies on good characters and stunt work without wasting your time. Check it out.
I can tell you that our waitress is left-handed and the guy sitting up at the counter weighs 215 pounds and knows how to handle himself. I know the best place to look for a gun is the cab of the gray truck outside. And at this altitude, I can run flat out for a half mile before my hands start shaking.
Number 7 is Breakdown. I wouldn't blame anyone for not seeing this, as it's one of those great smaller films that never reached cult status, which is a shame because this right here is awesome. The story is about a city couple driving through a small town when their car breaks down. The husband just bought the vehicle and is clueless on how to fix cars in general. A trucker offers to drive the wife to a nearby station to make a call, and doesn't return. What follows is one of the most realistic character arcs I've seen in an action film. The husband is out of his element, perceived as a yuppie by the locals, and struggles to get any answers about his wife's disappearance. With every dead end he hits, you can see the switches and motors operate on his face, and slowly he realizes that this is a job he must do himself. violently if necessary, and watching this play out is so satisfying. Breakdown's viewing, while visceral and heart-wrenching in parts, is a gleefully happy experience because of how much it gets right. It's short and snappy with no fat to trim. It's got a great villain. It knows how to end with a bang. And it's the believability of that arc from City Boy to modern Rambo that makes Breakdown a special breed of action flick. If your dad is into those late-night action movies they play on TV like The Transporter or Death Wish, this one's even better. Similar to westerns, this whole list could have comprised of war films. Dunkirk, Saving Private Ryan, A Bridge Too Far, and Apocalypse Now are all spectacular. And if you'd like to see a rundown of my top 10 American war films, I did a video on that a while back. However, I'm going to go outside the box a little and pick one that centers on dialogue, and that's Failsafe. The plot is basically Dr. Strangelove, but serious. As a plane carrying a nuclear bomb is mistakenly sent to attack Russia, and multiple parties including the US president must find a way to prevent a full-scale war. The tension builds masterfully, like the steadiest turn of a dial, aided not just by the events themselves, but by the use of stark, contrasted lighting. Walter Matthau is captivating as a warmonger who also happens to be the smartest man in the room. Henry Fonda's performance here may be my favorite as any US president on film, fictional or otherwise. Failsafe is an older film that I would recommend to a wide modern audience, not just for its performances and presentation, but its surprises. I didn't expect such a trippy dream sequence, that seduction scene, that ending, and certainly didn't expect to be so glued to the screen throughout. A fiercely intelligent and intense movie, Failsafe is as fun to discuss as it is to watch. Number 5 is a film I saw literally a few days ago, and it resonated so strongly with me I had to put it on this list, and that's HUD. The plot is all about fathers and father figures. HUD, played flawlessly by Paul Newman, is a wild stallion, a charming yet reckless libertine of whom his father disapproves and his nephew looks up to. When the film starts, we feel very much like the nephew, enraptured with and wanting to be HUD. But as the plot progresses, we see what such people are like after hours, and our alliance begins to shift. Themes of generational differences, responsibility, and role models are thoroughly explored, but the reason it makes the list, other than the excellent performances and cinematography, is the dialogue. Every 10 minutes I stop the video to hear a certain line again. Whether it's the banter between HUD and the maid, or the gruff talking tos of the grandfather, it's an exceptional, quotable film made in a time when great dialogue was a necessity, not a distant trophy films pretended to grasp while toothless sycophants propped them up. It's comedic, dramatic, and a dad classic.
You don't look out for yourself, and the only helping hand you'll ever get is when they lower the box.
I bet you're wondering when this would show up. Yes, number 4 is Field of Dreams, which narrowly beat out October Sky for my more sentimental father-son pick. To start, I use that word sentimental with precision. I miss films that were sweet and upfront and vulnerable, but without cheese, without forcing the waterworks. And Field of Dreams' sentimentality is so well executed because it's patient. It's an interesting story about a man being compelled by someone's instructions from the ether. Build it and he will come. Ease his pain. The protagonist sets out to fulfill these vague instructions with his family's support and seemingly no one else's. It's a charming journey, boosted by comedic scenes, good music, an eccentric James Earl Jones, and what might be Kevin Costner's finest acting. However, it isn't saying or implying that's gonna make you cry. That's never on the horizon, and I appreciate that. Because, and I won't dare spoil it, when the climax arrives, it's not abrupt, not unfitting, but is surprising at just how effective it is with only the shortest of exchanges. It's absolutely beautiful. And if you want to see something wonderful, check out this clip on YouTube and read the comments of all the sons talking about their fathers. Number 3 is Jaws. I'll be brief because it's the most iconic on this list. If you haven't seen it, then X out of Loki and watch it because it's practically perfect. We know why it's a great film. The brilliantly minimalistic score, the 3 lead actors, the SS Indianapolis speech, some genuinely horrifying sequences, and Spielberg's inspired direction. To the mix, I like to add how much I enjoy the latter half of the film taking place on a boat. It helps with the immersion. But why should you watch it with dad? Because this is a manly film. They drink, compare scars, and work with their hands. Nothing here seems unbelievable, and it makes the peril that much more perilous. Each man has his own skill set, and it's entertaining to watch them coalesce on a common goal and separately rise to the challenge. It's about an hour of a captain, a cop, and a scientist trying to kill a great white shark. Old or not, classic or not, that's the manliest fishing trip I can think of. Runner-up is The Fugitive. Harrison Ford was going to be in this list somewhere. That was a given. He plays a great everyman, brave but not fearless. He's heroic but not your typical hero, and that's why he's so easy to identify with. And The Fugitive is Ford playing this archetype at his best. Similar to Failsafe, what works so well here is that once the tension starts, it doesn't stop. The protagonist Richard Kimball escapes from a prison transfer, having been arrested for a crime he didn't commit, and must find the real culprit while also avoiding detection. Already this is an ideal setup for the pacing, as even in the slower moments when Kimball tracks down documents and other evidence, the threat of being caught always looms overhead. As if the pacing wasn't already sublime, the main man chasing him is a fast-talking marshal played by Tommy Lee Jones, who owns every moment on screen, and his speech patterns as well as the character's decisiveness ensure that these scenes just fly by. It's a thriller with genuine thrills, like a scene involving bulletproof glass that is downright shocking, and the editing keeps everything focused and fast. The Fugitive is a tight, expertly crafted chase film that was at one point #1 on this list, until I remembered something. Hey, remember when I said I was only putting one Western?
I lied.
Yep, #1 is Tombstone. If The Fugitive is how many dads see themselves, Tombstone is how sons see their dads. The cast alone is a who's who of a man's man. Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Sam Elliott, Powers Booth, Michael Biehn, Bill Paxton, Stephen Lang, Thomas Hayden Church, Billy Bob Thornton, Buck Taylor, Michael Rooker, Charlie Heston, Jesus Christ! And when several are on screen, which is often, it's like someone's sliding over a free shot of whiskey. Tombstone is a fantastic watch for dads who enjoy history, as mine does, and what blew me away was that based on my talks with him and my own research, this film is actually pretty accurate, even in the insane moments I assumed were punched up for entertainment purposes. There's a lot to recommend here. The action scenes are exciting, in particular the epic scuffle at the OK Corral. The villains have a lot of depth and variety. Kurt Russell's performance and mustache demand respect, damn it. Yet if I can point to one element in particular as a must-see, and fans of the film already know where I'm going with this, it's Val Kilmer as real-life legend Doc Holliday. The character is already entertaining on paper. He's a well-educated, polite yet unpredictable gin-shooting gunslinger, and his dialogue is often hilarious, but Kilmer brings the role to another level. The aristocratic accent fits like a glove and never slips out. The actor is fully integrated with the character, and his line delivery is impeccable.
You know, Ed, if I thought you weren't my friend, I just don't think I could bear it.
There are so many incredible one-liners in Tombstone, it's honestly ridiculous.
You're so drunk you can't hit nothing. In fact, you're probably seeing double.
I have 2 guns, 1 for each of you.
So many memorable exchanges that will have you hanging on every word. The plot itself is Wild West fun and dramatic when need be, with engaging characters and dialogue, and all of this, along with its historical context, make Tombstone my #1 film to watch with your father. And if you can't, grab a father figure, an uncle, grandpa, neighbor, older brother, and check this one out. What are some movies you'd consider perfect for Father's Day? What is your own list? Be sure to comment below, subscribe and hit the bell to support the channel, and check out some other list type videos I've done. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a great Father's Day.